I've told Jason this a number of times and other people that I get excited for spring football, like in January, February, when I start to see the schedules come out, and then I'm reminded after about 3 plays that it's a spring game. So it's nothing to get excited about. Except I will say that if there's a spring game that delivers because of one guy, it's the Clemson spring game, because they go down on the field and talk to Dabo. At least that's the way they've attacked it in the past, and it's been fun. It's been entertaining, as he always is. As is Jason Priester, always fun and entertaining here for us. Jason, how's it going today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about you?
I am doing just fine. Well, the guys are on the field this Saturday, and what do we know in regards to, of course, people are going to get make all sorts of overreactions to what happens on Saturday, but based on what does happen on Saturday, but put it all together with everything you know about what's happened thus far, who do you think's having a good camp, or are we getting any indications?
Yeah, this has been a weird spring at Clemson. The spring game's actually a week later than normal, and we've had 2 long extended breaks, one for spring break. Here was another one for Easter, so they're finally back practicing today. Going to end it Saturday with the spring game. But the one guy who has been talked about the most might be Peter Woods. And obviously he's a guy that was talked about for a year before he signed on with Clemson, former 5-star defensive lineman, one of the best players in the country. And coaches have just raved about him. Teammates have been raving about him. Lemansky Hall, defensive ends coach, just continued that praise when he met with the media last week. Talked about Woods being able to play inside, outside. If they need to move him over to end, they're confident they'll be able to do that if that need arises. And I think that's a distinct possibility because Clemson's a little thin at end this year. But, he might be getting the most praise of anybody that I can think of. Seems like every year we have some spring stars at Clemson, guys that get talked about a lot and then we don't hear much from during the season. But I think this hype with Woods is legit. I think he's going to be an immediate impact guy, and I think we're going to see him on the field early and often. But, again, this is just going to be a spring game. Like you say, there's not a lot to take away from it. Don't if there's a bunch of punts and the offense isn't clicking the way you think it should be, it's not something to overreact to. Clemson's going to be missing a lot of guys on the offensive side, particularly at wide receiver. We're talking about rosters that are split up. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they handle this thing with so many guys missing.
So do you go into these spring games thinking, okay, I really want to watch, well, I'm watching everything, but I really want to focus on X, Y, and Z? Or do you just see it play out and say, what's going to jump out at me?
This particular one, there are a couple of things I'm going to be looking for. I think Clemson's fall off in production on the offensive side of the ball is something that's been used against them, let's say, in recruiting in the past couple of cycles. And rightfully so. Clemson has seen a sharp decline in production on that side of the ball. Dabo Sweeney goes out and takes a big swing, hires Garrett Riley. By the looks of it, he knocked it out of the park with that hire. And I think they're going to at least want to show that off a little bit Saturday. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and air the ball out 60 times or anything like that, but I do think they want to show flashes of what they've got installed and what is to come this season. Clemson has no wide receivers committed in this class yet, the 2024 class, no quarterbacks committed yet. So I think they want to put something on film that says, hey, this is where we're heading. This is what we're going to be. So that's something, that I'll be looking for. And when they do decide to throw it around a little bit Saturday, I want to see how the pass defense responds. It was a weak link last year. Some of those younger guys kind of got their feet wet and had to learn on the job and took their lumps in the process. Interested to see where guys like Nate Wiggins are. 2 sophomores. Well, one sophomore, Toriano Pride. The other one, Jaden Lucas. He's not going to play. But and some of those younger safeties like Kylon Webb and Andrew Makuba. That's what I'm trying to think of. He's not a younger guy, but he's a guy that kind of took a step back after a freshman All-American season. This would be his 3rd year now, and I'd like to see him take a step forward this year from taking a step backwards last year.
I've probably asked you this question at some point, probably at some point after the recruiting class came in, but I'm going to ask you again. What true freshmen do you think have the best chance of making an impact this fall?
Obviously, Woods is the top choice. Make no mistake. He's the obvious answer. So I'll give you one on both sides of the ball, not counting him. I like Noble Johnson at wide receiver on the offensive side. He's an early enrollee. Clemson's been beat up at wide receiver this spring. Guys still recovering from injuries suffered last year, so they're short on bodies there. He's been getting a lot of reps, with that he wouldn't have normally otherwise gotten probably. I think he's going to benefit from that greatly. And he's a guy that's kind of intrigued me since I watched him work out at Dabo Swinney's high school camp last year. And I thought he was the best wide receiver I saw through that whole session. He's so smooth. He's not built like a typical receiver. He is a physical specimen, and he's built more like a linebacker, although he doesn't carry weight like a linebacker. I just mean like looks-wise. He's just kind of built that way. And on the defensive side, give me T.J. Parker, freshman defensive end, the only early enrollee at defensive end. Again, Clemson's going to be a little thin at end this year. I think Zaire Patterson is not developing at the pace that they would have liked. I think Cade Denoff is probably a good bit ahead of him at this juncture. You got Greg Williams and Justin Mascol and Xavier Thomas, of course, but Thomas has been out all spring, so there are like Johnson, there have been opportunities for TJ Parker to get some reps, and a lot of them. And I think he's another guy we're going to see a lot of on Saturday. Lemansky Hall, he talked about him too the other day, called him a plug and play type guy. So I think he's a guy that could definitely see the field early and often this year.